Under the leadership of that hardy woodsman, Daniel Boone, a large party set out for the new land, Kentucky.
Abraham Lincoln was born right here.
The world comes to be pretty like me.
I'm Colonel Harold Sanders, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about my Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Have I told you you people are crazy?
This is Old Kentucky Tales, the only podcast that solemnly swears that neither of us have accurately predicted our own death. That is right, isn't it, Jason?
Yeah, of course. We're sitting here right now.
All right. Today's title is Off the Cuff and Off the Chain.
Day's not over yet, Brent.
True. Lincoln's Independence Hall Address. I am your host, Brent Taylor. To my left is the man who mans the ramparts with all 8 parts of speech, Jason Donner.
Oh, man. You okay. Yeah, you got 2 words in there that are the same. Are you running out?
It works, right?
No, it kind of doesn't. You don't have to do this anymore if you don't want to.
Well, but just this is Jason Donner.
And then you look at me and you say, right, Jason? I can't come up with something good on everything.
Yeah, you can. That's why you were hired.
The ramparts. I like the idea of ramparts.
Yeah. It's like you're
a real war.
You're in a
thing.
verbal war or something.
Yeah. Well, I guess this is kind of like that. I feel better now. Before, I was over there next to you, and then the episode before, but now this feels more better. It sounds better, like it used to be.
Yeah, and
a reasonable social distance.
Oh yeah, a little too cozy before, wasn't it? Yeah. And this is an episode about real things. The previous episode was about fake things. Yeah.
Right.
So one last disclaimer about episode
AI.
105.
Right.
It's all about fake stuff.
So this really, I'm going to assume that Lincoln predicted his death. I mean, that's not a big leap.
Yeah.
Right?
You got it.
Okay.
You got it.
Did he really predict it, or did he say and if I should die? That's more like a if.
It was probably a little more than that, but we'll see kind of as it unfolds.
I'm just going to tease it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So they stay.
Exactly. And along the way, don't forget to support the fake history sponsors who support Old Kentucky Tales. The products are real, only the sponsorship is fake.
Grammed, full of health. Being delicious is a big enough job for most crackers. But these golden brown squares are more. Far more. They're healthful. They provide desired roughage so necessary in these days of soft food diets. Brown's bakers use graham flour that has been carefully ground to a special medium fineness so that it's not too coarse even for the more delicate digestions. Oh, children and invalids! Brown's graham crackers. Also sold in family caddies by the pound, too. So like graham crackers.
You produce all these audio things, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you tell him to scream at the end there?
I did not. She's a very spirited actress.
Well, yeah, I see it at the end. I'm gonna just hit this last 4 words really hard.
Yeah. That was all no coaching whatsoever on that one.
So you found this interesting because it's.
I found it interesting because a couple of things. So. I mean, I don't think of graham crackers as roughage, right? Isn't that more like vegetable stuff?
I think this is one of those that started out as hey, we're a health food kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like a lot of foods did, or it was labeled that way or seen that way.
And then today we realize it's just junk food.
Now it's just, now it's like a cookie.
Yeah, because they really were trying to sell it as something like, oh, this is good for digestion. I don't even think that's true.
Well, but I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Grams, there's a gram somewhere. What about Graham, Mr. Graham?
Right, or like this idea that
there's a Graham, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, but this idea that kids can't have regular graham crackers, but they can have these. That's kind of weird too. I just
this kid's passed out.
Apparently that was if you don't have the right graham cracker.
I mean,
you're going to end up over there like that.
And his train has crashed.
Yeah, it's all derailed.
Okay, I don't know what that is. Put your kids to sleep.
Yeah, that's true. So now we're ready for the moment we've all been waiting for. The main event.
Round 1.
And that includes, Jason, this idea of being off the cuff and off the chain with this particular speech. This speech does not get a lot of play.
Off the chain is just not still hanging in. Off the cuff, I think is okay.
Well, off the cuff, that's standard, right?
Yeah,
Old
it's
school.
standard now. That doesn't sound at all dated.
You don't say off the chain
But
anymore?
you're saying, ironically, probably. No, I don't say off the chain.
Oh, as soon as I thought of off the cuff, I thought of off the chain. I don't
Yeah,
know.
right.
But this
I like
speech,
to point it
though,
out. I feel superior that way, but
course.
it helps.
this is not one of the most well-known speeches that Lincoln ever did.
Yeah. Well, why don't we know them all?
Well, he did
a
if
lot,
you
I
have the
guess.
list of great speeches
He
in
did.
American history, it's Gettysburg Address,
Gettysburg Address.
but it's also first inaugural address,
Mm-hmm.
second inaugural address. He just has
The fourth one.
3 or 4 or
Yeah.
5 of the all-time greatest. This one doesn't make that list.
The debates are in on that, but
Of
that's
course.
that's kind of a speech. But
All subjective.
it was all written down anyway, and but
Yeah.
those Lincoln Douglas debates.
Right. There's some funny stuff in that. You might remember we did that thing about you got burned by Abe Lincoln. That episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
But this one though is a little more serious. But I just kind of found it really amazing in sort of the commitment to the founding fathers and just kind of like Lincoln character stuff.
All right.
Yeah. So the
when did
location is
yeah.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, at Independence Hall. That's where we signed the Declaration of Independence and all that stuff. February 22nd, 1861. So the first thing about that is this is before the inauguration, because back then they inaugurate in March.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the second thing
I
is,
wonder, just to get earlier into the year.
it was
It's a little late in the year, but that mattered.
Yeah, I think it was
The
like
weather's terrible.
they were upset about
Is there a reason?
waiting to with the depression and all that stuff.
maybe to wait.
Because it was
to
like
get to the
depression
next
era,
guy.
you know.
Yeah, why wait so long between the election and the
Yeah,
inaugural?
it was that kind of rethinking of it
Yeah.
that led to the change. But February 22nd is also George Washington's birthday. So it's kind of interesting in that regard that we're paying a little bit of homage to the founding fathers on that particular day. So the backdrop of this is we are on our way to D.C. essentially.
Right. So he's on his way, been elected the first time. War's not started yet, but he's doing this kind of whistle-stop tour, right?
Yeah, and we're going to end up in D.C. for the
Yeah.
inauguration. So we're stopping in Philadelphia, and he says here, I am filled with deep emotion at finding myself standing here in this place where were collected together the wisdom, the patriotism, the devotion to principle, from which sprang the institutions under which we live. You have kindly suggested to me that in my hands is the task of restoring peace to the present distracted condition of the country, and that is the impending Civil War. I can say in return, sir, that all the political sentiments I entertain have been drawn, so far as I have been able to draw them, from the sentiments which originated and were given to the world from this hall. So, no pressure. The war is about to happen. And you're not even the president yet. You're the president-elect.
Right.
Buchanan is the guy still there, and he's largely viewed as trying to run out the clock.
Well, is he? Is that true?
When you read his speeches, they're very fatalistic sounding.
Yeah.
If the South wants to secede, well, who are we to say?
Really,
that
at
we
the
can't?
end there.
It's that
after
kind of
he'd,
tone, yeah.
After he had lost, you mean?
It just.
Or even not, even just.
Yeah. So he already knew that wasn't going to happen, but
Right.
But you're still president, and it's still the responsibility.
Yeah. Did
It's a little bit of a weird thing.
Lincoln run against Buchanan and beat
He
him?
did not.
He didn't run against
Yeah,
Buchanan. That didn't
Buchanan
sound
was
right.
not on that ballot.
Yeah, he wasn't on the ballot.
So that was kind of predetermined from a while
Oh, yeah,
back.
okay. Yeah.
But yeah, that was the 1860 election, and there were actually 2 Democrats that he ran against.
Okay.
Neither one of those guys was Buchanan.
Okay. Who was that then?
So you had John C. Breckinridge, who
Breckinridge.
was the vice president.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That
And
sounds-
then you had Stephen Douglas,
Douglas.
which he had run against before
Right.
and for the Senate and lost.
Did he ever have a chance? Was that even close?
Douglas
Yeah.
or Breckinridge?
Well, either one.
Douglas had a chance, except that he had that other candidate in the race. So maybe he probably would have won all the southern states.
Right.
He was running second in most of the northern states, which means maybe he would have lost anyhow,
Right.
but it would have been much, much closer.
Yeah.
And if you do the whole thing, which I know it doesn't really hold true, but if you take the other major candidates in that race, there's also an independent candidate, John Bell, who's a big deal. If you add all of their...
He's a big deal.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he won several states,
Well,
which is rare for a third-party candidate.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
Yeah, and if you add all those together, then you're talking about something that could have beaten Lincoln. But the fact of the matter was, there was a split in the vote with the
Right.
Democrats, and so it really cleared the way for Lincoln to win.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. How close was it?
Yeah, in the electoral map, it wasn't
out.
very close.
Yeah.
But that's a weird situation, though, to have four major
Right.
candidates.
Yeah.
We don't have elections like that. We had three a couple of times. There was maybe another time in the 19th century where it was like that, back in the 1820s. But I mean, it's very rare to have four candidates who really have a chance.
So Douglas and Breckinridge both, they're not both running on the same Democratic.
Right. It's two different
ballot,
Democratic
right?
tickets.
Two different ones, yeah.
Which is, they just couldn't get their stuff together. And so they end up.
They're not they're still considered like in the same party.
You call them the Northern Democrats and the Southern
Okay.
Democrats.
All right. So it was
Yeah.
like that. All right.
Yeah. So a very unusual situation, splitting the vote, and then Lincoln's in.
Yeah.
And so now, all the pressure in the world because, see, his election is
he
the
asked
trigger.
for it. He wanted to.
I mean, he signed up
ran.
for it. He
He
signed up
tried.
for it. That's all true.
Yeah, tried to be senator, right? Didn't win the Senate.
Yeah,
And then
so
next thing you know,
let's run for
I'll
president
run for
instead.
president. Right.
Yeah, kind of the opposite of the Henry Clay path to
Yeah,
power.
yeah.
That's true. But yeah, he signed up for it, and now it's all falling apart, yet he has no power to really address it.
All right.
The first moment he can even do that is the inaugural address, which is among one of his great speeches.
Right.
Where he essentially puts
He
all
knows
the
it's
cards on the
coming.
table,
Right.
right? And he says, we're not going to touch slavery in the places where it exists. So you just calm down.
Right.
We must not be enemies.
Yeah.
He says that's as clearly as he could say it.
Right.
But I think the passions were
having it.
already too far gone.
Didn't believe it. Right.
And all the rest of that. So this is kind of leading up to that moment. And there's a lot of pressure out there. And a lot of things going on kind of behind the scenes, which he's going to allude to here in a minute. I have never had a feeling politically that did not spring from the sentiments embodied in the Declaration of Independence. I have often pondered over the dangers which were incurred by the men who assembled here and framed and adopted that Declaration of Independence. I have pondered over the toils that were endured by the officers and soldiers of the Army who achieved that independence. I have often inquired of myself what great principle or idea it was that kept this Confederacy so long together. So there's a couple of things to unpack there. First thing is the reverence for the Founding Fathers. That's pretty clear. They are the bedrock of the history. He's looking up to them from this point. What would George Washington do? How would these guys handle this kind of situation? But then the second thing is the idea that America is this big experiment. That self-government and all this, because when they made America, Europeans were laughing about it. There's no way you can have the people in charge.
Right.
No way.
Yeah.
You've got to have the
that's
upper
it,
crust
that's-
of society with titles of nobility.
Yeah. And he's in Independence Hall where they laid all that out too.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a full circle sort of thing. It's almost like he's having flashbacks to everything he ever imagined about the
Right,
Founding
and hoping
Fathers
that,
and
like,
why they...
Yeah, and we don't mess all this up now.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's what it
And
was.
that's always one of the things
Right.
when you look at the Gettysburg Address,
He's trying to just say, we don't want to do this.
that government of the people,
Right.
by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. And so that's a pressure that he feels is completely real.
Right.
That you could take this, that you could be the generation that drops this torch.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So that's a lot of
Pretty big
pressure
deal.
there.
Yeah.
So you want to be president. That's the kind of stuff you might have to deal with, right?
It really aged him too, like the difference between 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
Just in the pictures you see of him.
Yeah, the stress
he's
and all that. People always say that about all of them.
I
but
know they
maybe
do,
especially him.
but right. He's one of the first ones that. Is he the first one we have a picture of, even? Do we have a photo?
No,
of
we've
a
got some
cannon?
pictures of Zachary Taylor and those kind of.
Okay.
You start seeing
When
pictures.
he was president? Or like after he was out?
I think so. I would have to double check because he's in his military uniform.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, pictures are relatively new. You start getting them around the time of the Mexican War.
Yeah, it was like 1850s, I think, is when it became
right, it's going to pick up big in the 50s.
Yeah,
and then, of course, the Civil War itself is very well photographed.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
There's all kinds of
Yeah, we
dead
got tons
bodies
of
you can
that.
look at
Yeah,
and
yeah.
whatever. But I mean, they're
Stacks of
gruesome.
books at your house, just filled with Civil War. Yeah, well, there was well documented with early cameras. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely right.
What was that guy's name? That was the photographer who did all that?
Brady.
Brady.
You think about Brady.
Yeah,
Matthew Brady.
did it. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a forerunner of war photography.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff there. But yeah, we got the photos of Lincoln to kind of go with this, which I think is better than all that drawing stuff. It's just there's something about when you see a drawing from 60 years later that doesn't do the trick.
It doesn't feel like a real person at all until we can. Some of those. This is what I talk about in my class when we do one speech about history topics. I want to look at some old pictures, but if you go further back, it's just not going to feel as real because those people aren't really there. They're renderings of them. I want to see a real photograph. And so we're trying to connect, like, what was it like to be that person?
Yeah. And I think there's something about Lincoln especially where you can just sort of like look into his eyes in there and feel something about it.
He always looks sad and
right.
right.
Not one
you
happy
kinda know
picture of
what's
Lincoln
coming.
out there, is there?
Yeah, that's what I want to see, a big laughing. No one's laughing in those pictures.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Keep
So
going.
let's pick back up here, yeah. It was not the mere matter of the separation of the colonies from the motherland, but that sentiment in the Declaration of Independence which gave liberty, not alone to the people of this country, but I hope to the world for all future time. So this is even bigger, right? It's bigger than America. He feels like this is a global thing where like we could actually be saving the world by having this example of a government. Mm-hmm. And what if we drop it right here? What if we drop the ball right here?
Well, after then the Declaration and the War of Independence and all that, like what other countries lined up in that same way? Did that kind of inspire some things? I mean,
oh yeah.
But
So
soon, like later we had the French Revolution, all that.
right, French Revolution is 1789, so that it's directly connected to.
You're right. That was
ours.
like almost immediately. Yeah, they were part of
and then when you get to 1810, you see it all in Latin America.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like chain
They get
reaction,
inspired
boom,
by it.
boom, boom,
Right.
boom, boom.
And
So
they're
I mean, in a
defined.
way, it kind of is what he says that it is.
Yeah.
That you're inspiring something here.
Right. And they start kind of fighting back against their kings or queens that conquered the land, kind of thing.
And or colonial rulers, yeah.
Yeah,
So
well,
of
that's what I
course,
mean.
yeah, of course. And so like in a way, I mean, it really could be okay. Well, there goes the example. It's
Right.
gone now.
Yeah.
Must have been a temporary blip.
Right. He blew it up.
Yeah, way to go, Lincoln! You blew it. It was that which gave promise in due time that in due time the weight would be lifted from the shoulders of all men. This is a sentiment embodied in the Declaration of Independence. Now, my friends, can this country be saved upon that basis? If it can, I will consider myself one of the happiest men in the world if I can help to save it. If it cannot be saved upon that principle, it will be truly awful. But if this country cannot be saved without giving up this principle, I was about to say that I would rather be assassinated on this spot than surrender it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, was that it? That was it.
I would like to think that I'm that tough.
Yeah. To bring it up, like, hey, I'm the president. Don't forget about assassination.
Right, yes, it's kind of an option,
I
isn't
kind
it?
of want to not talk about it. I think.
Yeah, it
It's a
seems like
bold
you would never
statement.
mention it, right?
Is that what you're saying you would do? You would
I mean, so I would like.
Own it.
So there's an
dare
extra
you.
backstory here, right? The
Yeah.
extra backstory is that on the way on this tour,
Oh, we got it.
they learned of a plot,
Yeah, the plot.
and that there was, someone was out there to get him
Mm-hmm.
politically, and so apparently that's on his mind, and
You
so he's
think?
just going to come out there and
Right.
throw the gauntlet down, baby. Like, hey,
Well, he's not worried about it there.
come on, bring it.
Yeah.
I would like to think I'm that tough. I don't know if I am or not. Though.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
You'll
What about
probably-
you? I mean, do
You'll
you,
probably never find out.
I mean, I might not.
Will
I
you
might
be
not.
under that
Yeah.
that kind of pressure?
Yeah.
But go for it. Go for it, because I'll remember this moment.
Yeah.
And I'll do a podcast where you predicted your death in the
Perfect.
podcast, but you were that tough.
All right. That's a deal. That's a deal. Now, in my view of the present aspect of affairs, there need be no bloodshed in war. There is no necessity for it. So once again, just put it on the table. Like, let's
right.
not do this, please.
Yeah, let's not do this.
I am not in favor of such a course, and I may say in advance that there will be no bloodshed unless it be forced upon the government, and then it will be compelled to act in self-defense. That's another big part of his inaugural address, whenever you study that. That's one of the principles. Let them throw the first punch.
Yeah.
My friends, this is wholly an unexpected speech, and I did not expect to be called upon to say a word when I came here.
Come
That's a good punchline, right?
Come on. He just got elected. He's passing through town. Of course they want him to talk.
I suppose it was merely to do something toward raising the flag.
That's being his.
So,
modest
hey, speech.
Yeah, he's
And then he
just-
gets up and delivers this. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I didn't even think about this before I got here.
So you don't buy
I
it?
thought about, well, maybe he's being a little modest there. I'm sure he gave it some thought.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Go, I'll let you finish.
I may therefore have said something indiscreet.
No.
Right. The audience there is
Audience,
crying out no.
No.
Exactly.
You didn't. Are they saying no? You didn't say anything indiscreet.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
We
Keep
know.
going. Yeah. I have said nothing but what I am willing to live by, and if it be the pleasure of Almighty God, die by.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Okay.
I mean, it's not in his list of
Do
great
you think
speeches,
that he,
but maybe it should be.
well, we're meant to believe that he kind of scribbled out the Gettysburg Address on the way.
We did that one, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of well documented, I think. The
Yeah.
little
He's
notes
he's in the
carriage.
coach on the way there,
Like,
like, what should I say? This
What's
was
the deal
7
with
years
him?
ago.
Why is he not, working on these speeches a little bit sooner? You got
Yeah.
rehearse.
Where's his team of speech
He
writers?
probably felt at that point pretty confident in his own skill. Honestly, you get so at ease with it. You're like, oh, I got this.
Yeah.
And he was like 50 at the time, so he's not like he's aware of his own abilities.
He's given a few speeches
done
here and there.
done a
and-
few hundred of them. So.
Right.
Yeah, I got this.
Yeah, you just kind of show up and wing
Yeah.
it, and you're awesome, and everybody loves it.
And the Gettysburg Address happened like right after another guy gave this really long, like 2-hour speech. You know that.
Yeah.
And so he got up and did like this, 130 words or something?
Yeah, super short. It was an
Yeah.
afterthought, essentially.
Right. Do you think he planned it that way? Like he thought, I'm going to cut this down to such a brief thing. It's just going to knock them out. They'll be shocked that it's so brief. Or did it just happen to be brief?
I think he said what he said, and people were like,
I think
man, that's good.
sometimes
And it
that's
just
better.
kind of blew up.
Right. Then just after you listen to one guy
Yeah.
for 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you
he's
don't
savvy.
always plan the good stuff. Sometimes it just spontaneously erupts.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's pay a few bills while we're at it here.
Oh, this is cool.
So our sponsor for this portion of the program is Paducah Community College. We're getting ready for the fall 1980 registration.
Yeah.
2-year career programs, general studies classes, evening classes, telecourses on Paducah Cable 2.
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
Oh, there-
Where you just
that hasn't
contact the
changed.
instructor through written correspondence and the telephone, it says.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could always use the phone, yeah.
Sure
need
you
to talk
could.
to him.
Yeah, you watch
Written
the canned video
correspondence.
and then you call them and ask a question. It's pretty
Yeah, man.
interesting stuff.
I forgot during the last few episodes that I've added this affectation.
Oh yeah.
the fake glasses. But
Gotta
this is so
get down to the
small.
reading.
Yeah,
it is
totally
pretty. It is
forgot
the
about it.
fine print
All right.
for sure.
Data processing.
That's one of the
That's one
degrees
of the,
there.
Like I'm looking for ones that are kind of older, they've gone away.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the telecourses.
Yeah. A lot of
You
them are
would
the
watch-
same.
They would record it. They'd record the lectures here and like.
Yeah. You watch it at home.
I mean, I can sort of
Take your notes.
I never took a class like that, but Don Maley, the guy that was the speech professor here for like 30 years, he was on Channel 2. You turn it on and just watch it, and there he was doing those same telecourses, like well, up to the point of whenever that kind of went out of favor. But sure, why not?
Yeah. And I really like the stuff down at the bottom
Yeah, that's
where it
what I
says
said.
that they've got a housewives involvement program and a daycare center.
Yeah, you really like that one, huh?
Yeah,
Daycare center, really?
Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
Yeah. People always say, "Well, why don't we have one of those?" Well, we used to.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting
It's a lot
stuff,
of-
isn't it?
No, that's a big deal to have your own daycare center.
Oh yeah, there's a lot to it, but
Yeah.
apparently they used to.
That's what it's called, Focus Performing Arts Series. That's what they still call this thing, the Focus Series.
Yeah,
That's still going
that's
on.
a very long-standing
That is-
name.
yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
your quote-unquote community college.
Yeah, your community. Don't forget.
Whatever community is, right?
See, this was on 2 days in August. Like, that's how they used to do it, too.
Oh yeah, get it all registered,
sign up,
line it
you
up, show up, get it done. Don't
Yeah.
drag it out.
Right.
That in some
It was
ways
just
might have been
done
better.
instead of advising all year long, I don't
Yeah.
know. That's just the way that it was just different.
Yeah,
I
you
guess
had to show it because
advising,
they had
but
events.
This is really
and you had to do it.
registering.
Yeah.
Boring old teacher stuff here.
we went super
we're getting
teacher
a little-
wonky there, didn't we?
Yeah.
That's because we've now turned to the final page of this chapter, but that's okay. Old Kentucky Tales never fails to return. If you liked this one, we can binge watch now. You can binge listen, lots of options, all sorts of different technological things out there. Please remember to give us a like or 5-star
whatever.
ratings, or 4 stars acceptable, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
those kind of.
Does it go to 5? It does go to 5.
Yeah, a lot of them
Okay.
go to 5.
Haven't checked it in a while.
Yeah, it was pretty good last time we looked at it. Special thanks to WKMS, Dan, JT, and the TV crew, West Kentucky Community and Technical College, and the rest is history.